Just play. We love you. Here, echo now. Mute everybody.
Alright, I will, Is that loud? This one, I'll do the song that John was talking about before, the Take This Ring tune. This is, speaking of romantic ballads.
Make us beautiful again.
Let's try it. Standing out alone, just my shadow. Finding it hard not to open doors to more empty space. Wondering, will I get some fire to light my way? Then I saw you there with a smile on your face and a spark in your eye. And now I'm standing here 'cause I know I can't let you go. Take this ring of mine forevermore. Be the beat of my heart, sunshine when it rains. That's all I need is you, like the birds need the sky. Spread their wings and fly away. Take this ring of mine. Since we met, I don't want to spend a second without you. Sit and make me laugh. You're always with a compliment. When I'm alone, I get goosebumps just thinking about you. Sit and make me tense up, you make me feel so alive. Now I'm standing here 'cause I know. Now I'm standing here 'cause I know I can't let you go. Take this ring of mine forevermore. Be the beat of my heart, sunshine when it rains. That's all I need is you. The birds need the sky. Spread their wings and fly away. Take this ring of mine. I wanna see you there every morning when I wake up and I open my eyes. When I lay down at night, I wanna hold you till I drift away. Take this ring of mine forevermore. Be the beat of my heart, the sunshine when it rains. That's all I need is you. Birds need the sky, they spread their wings and fly away. Take this ring, just take this ring of mine forevermore. Be the beat of my heart, the sunshine when it rains. That's all I need is you, but the birds need the sky, spread their wings and fly away. Take this ring of mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was really good. So when did you? What year did you write that song?
I don't know. A couple of years ago, thinking like maybe 2009 or something.
2009. Cool.
Yeah, the story like John kind of talked about a little bit before is I had some. This is kind of before everybody really knew I was like writing songs and doing stuff because I'm like this 40-year-old guy that never really did this stuff, and then all of a sudden I got all his family and friends thinking like, "What? You're gonna do what? You're gonna write a song and you're gonna sing it? What are you talking about?" So anyway.
Did you always play guitar though?
Yeah, I kind of always did. I was like a metalhead when I was growing up. Like I was just like all over heavy metal, you know, and I figured if I couldn't scream and play really fast that I wasn't like talented, you know. I guess that's just you know how we kind of lock ourselves into boxes and stuff like that. And then, you know, as I got older and I started just jamming around campfires and stuff like that, people are like, dude, I didn't know you could do this. And, you know, but this song kind of came out of just I had a step uncle of mine, and he's like, hey, I'm getting married, and, you know, could you do a Cat Stevens tune? And I'm like, you know, I played with it, but I'm like, I don't know, I just don't feel Cat Stevens, I guess, is probably the best way I can describe it. You know, and I'm just like, you know, so I'm just like, you know, how about I write you a song, you know? And they were brave enough to let me take a shot at it, and I don't know. So far, it's turned out all right. Everybody seems to like it.
Was that the first song? Was that the first one you've ever written, or?
No. It was like the first one that I ever like actually wrote for somebody. Like I actually kind of, you know, they like, hey, could you do this for me? And I just kind of put it together. I've had other stuff, and I've always been kind of dabbling for like a long time, but it was the first one I just sat down and really, I don't know. But it worked out. I mean, I got a lot of people asking me to do it for their wedding, and you know, so it's like it's kind of grown into this. You know, I'm trying to like keep myself from being cornered into the wedding guy. You know, you know, a little bit.
They make a lot of money.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword, but I like it. I'm glad that a lot of people like it, and it's really cool. You know, once a week, I bet you I get somebody that like gets on my mailing list, and I give the tune away for free, and people are like, you know, I love your song, and can I use it at my wedding and all that stuff. So it's like it's pretty rewarding to hear people like actually liking it, and that they're using it and they feel it. And I mean, that's where I kind of started to really understand like the you know.
You got married way before you wrote this, right? So
yeah, I did, and my wife, she's like, you know, how come you never wrote anything like that for me?
There's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, but that's all right. We're working on that. I wrote a kind of a joke song for her, you know, like. But
how does this song compare to the actual first song you wrote? This is way better than the very first thing you wrote, or?
I would say yeah. You know, it's really hard to think back to what I wrote because I just always like scribbled stuff down over the years. I just like I said, I just. Well,
but so like the first song that you still perform today, maybe, how does it compare to that?
Gosh, I don't know. I guess it's probably better, like in a sense that it's more. I guess the lyrics are probably better just because I learned how to, you know, look towards, you know, painting pictures in people's heads where maybe before, like earlier stuff was just kind of like, you know, if it rhymed, it was fine.
You're like, coffee
you know what
cup,
I mean? Like, it really didn't.
Paper towels, yup.
Yeah, you know, you try to get more visual and not so cliche. I mean, you try to, even though I probably do get a little cliche in that too.
Looks like James has a thought about writing his first couple songs he was writing, right? Remember back then?
Yeah. Yeah, and arrangement-wise, you know, it's like you kind of learn a couple tricks here and there. Like, you know, I read a lot of different songwriting books over the years. You know, like just, you know, little tips and tricks kind of a thing. And that was probably my most formulaic song, I guess. You know, like here's a formula. You know, do this, do that. You know, and you know, fill in the words and make up lyrics. And I don't know. It's all original, but.
I do find it amazing. A lot of musicians that I've met will just make up a song, and they all of a sudden they have something on their guitar. They're like something out of nowhere, and it just happens, and you're like, wow, that's not necessarily the most amazing song. Usually it's funny or something, but you know, it's sometimes the funny. I don't think people write enough. I mean, enough comedy songs. I think comedy songs are. I mean, if there's a song you could. I mean, I think about. I love all music and comedy and all that, but I feel like if there's a song that that it's melodically awesome and it makes you laugh or give or emotion. It makes you. And there's lots of songs like Damien Rice is really good at drawing up emotion. A lot of artists are good at like making you feel, always feeling something. You know, instantly. Like I'm sure there are songs where like that song reminds me of my kids, or that song reminds me of my wedding, or reminds me of when I was dumped, or whatever. You know, a time in my life, and you're like when you hear it, it instantly brings you back to that moment. Do you guys have certain songs of that like that?
Funny songs are crazy because like I always thought like before I started doing this, you get nervous about performing in front of people and eventually kind of get over it. But to me, like funny is probably the scariest of anything because you get way instant reaction with funny. Like music, if nobody likes your song, eventually they just kind of stop listening, or the bar clears, or who knows.
That's why Weird Al had it right. Weird Al's like, I'm going to take songs people like.
Funny. Yeah.
Don't have to worry about
funny,
it. Yeah.
But funny when you like launch into the punchline, it's like if they don't laugh, you're done. You're toast at that point. It's just it's a bigger responsibility. That's why comedians, man, you got to give it up for comedians. They really really throw themselves out there.
Sandler and Jimmy Fallon, when they're playing those songs, the funny songs, and they're doing impressions. And the internet's a weird place. The guy that played Biff in Back to the Future, Tom Wilson, is a comedian, and he actually has videos. I don't know if you've seen them, where he's playing guitar. And one of the songs is about his time on Back to the Future. So it's crazy. It's like, oh, there's a melody and there's funny words, but the timing is so important, Not the timing. The timing is important no matter what the song is, but very cool.